Good to see
Hello.
you. Nice to meet you, I
You,
should say, because we haven't met before. I've been Frank and Andrew were telling me about you beforehand.
Right.
You're going to be one of the speakers at this conference on the full title, Resonance as a Bridge Between the Spiritual and the Physical. It sounds like a wonderful title. You're going to be talking, but tell us a little bit about your background before you tell us about what you talk about.
Of course. So I'm from Germany,
Mhm.
and I have a background in engineering, medical technology, printing technology, etc. And like 15 years ago, I met a group in Germany which is surrounding the artist and inventor Atmani. It's in Hirschhorn, and we settled up an organization form around it, and keep on working on everything which is connected to sound, to the human voice, and working in different fields, like in movement, in health, and so in therapy as well, and also in technology, which is more my part in this game. And as Frank already said, one of the things which came out of this research was the company Lautsänger, where we change or modify traditional speaker systems to give them a vivid and alive sound scape. This comes from the research in Cymatics, and Cymatics is just like another title for this conference, because Cymatics, this term was coined by Hans Jenny, who was a anthroposophical doctor, and he spoke about Cymatics like the wave things and the things which are organized by waves in life, which is life itself. But back to my background.
Hold on, can I ask a quick question there?
Because of course.
When you're talking about that, and actually it's two questions. Sorry. First of all, where was it in Germany? Because I lived in Germany for 3 years.
All right. So it's in Hirschhorn. It's a small community close to Heidelberg. So it's
Heidelberg. Okay, yes, I did go there in my time as well. Like walk up the hill, up the mountain. I was down near Stuttgart. The other question relevant to the conference is, it's quite likely that some of our viewers have heard or even read Thomas Schwenk's book, The Sensitive Chaos. And this is one of those books where, when I first saw it, these magical pictures of how sound literally forms. It was this idea that the logos is like we're not just talking about an analogy of something creating form. No, it's there. And then when I understand what and I've seen videos about Semantics on YouTube as well, I mean, you bring it to a completely different level, if I'm not mistaken. If I put it like that.
You're completely right. So Cymatics it's very concrete. It's not only a visualization of sounds, but it's insight in the sound forces itself.
Yeah.
And as we know, in the beginning was the word, which is just in the beginning was the sound.
Yeah.
And so it's a fundamental force in creation itself. And through Cymatics, we have the possibility to glance into this creative world. And Cymatics, in a broader sense, is can be seen as a new scientific approach, where you approach in a Goetheanism way the world. You observe the sound phenomena and how sound shapes matter, and but then you can work also artistically with your observations and come to a new way of understanding. So you can't understand the forces of nature only intellectually, because it's just not living. So you have to become into a process and be part in this process. And this is what is so important, what have to be changed in science. Our normal science always try to get extract oneself from an experiment. But we all know you are always part of the experience and of the experiment itself. And when we change this and we go consciously into the experiment, and we are working also with our findings, with our observation in an artistical way with it, we can understand the underlying forces. And that's what Cymatics is about. And I'm happy to be the third time on the conference this year. So I had 2 different talks where the first one was only online, which is kind of challenging for a topic where it's about phenomena. So we had a first online meeting where I tried to show some basic cymatic experiments there. And the last conference last year in person in Seattle here, we had the possibility to deepen this part and also giving more people who were there in person the experience. For instance, loud singer is something you can transfer online.
I was thinking, but we can't experience your speakers through this.
Right. So, but people who already have a loud singer can experience it, because when you use your findings and how sound really works, and sound is not only the wave function of what you can explain mathematically, but it's what is transferred or transported by the being who's producing the sound. Is it an instrument? Is it speaking? That's equal. But when you have found the laws how sound is produced, you can somehow do the same with your speaker technology. So you can invite the living forces in the speaker, and then what was recorded or what is transferred by or spoken or taken up by a microphone is then reunited while listening to it. And then you have a vivid experience of music, of speech. And this is something, you can of course experience when you come to the conference and see.
And that's why people should come.
Of course. Because you can observe. We also bring some basic experiments with us to observe these things. For instance, there are the Chladni plates. Everyone knows the Chladni plates. You have the powder on a plate, and you strew it. And you got these patterns. But I tell you, the interesting thing about this, it is an easy experiment, but it's still not completely understood from the physical side. So one side is like the wave formation of the plate, which is just vibrating, and the sand is just going to the knots where no movement of the plate is. That's the easy part. There's another part where you have the fine powder, which is moving in the air, which is vibrating over the surface of the plate. And this is moving in vertices over the plate, and on places with the most movement of the plate itself. You can explain this partly by flow dynamics, and you can also calculate it. But like in the 80s, someone came on the idea to put this experiment into a vacuum chamber.
Right.
And so you have no air movement. Still, you got movement of the fine particles in the same way that you got vertex movements and stuff like this. And at that point, our today's physics is still questioning how does this work? And we have currently we have about 40 scientific publications about the Chladni phenomena, because it's still unknown. Of course, when you look from a cymatic viewpoint, it is quite obvious that there are some other forces also working in forming this the matter. So and this is what we are looking in cymatics to this to the thresholds of science, where when you ask scientists a little bit deeper, they say, well, to the last extent, we are not
there might be something there, yes.
And that's an interesting point. And that's what we are looking for in cymatics, and what we want to show the audience in different experiments.
Wonderful. Sounds really interesting. If it isn't like too far of a field, but also I've seen somatic experiments like where they're using like a cornstarch. Is it a cornstarch? It's like a liquid where they create forms as well. It's like these, and they are almost like living forms as well that you can see there. Those same inexplicable phenomena that the physicists can't describe. It's like with the powder over the plates because it's done in a vacuum. Is there a similar phenomena like that in the cornstarch, or is it like this is just a different world and it's not?
No, it's similar. I mean, using cornstarch, this is the easy part of this way. A good friend of mine, Gabriel Kelemen from Romania, he is really a professional in doing cymatic experiments, and he's using mixtures of liquids, like oily liquids, and he's discovering a similar behavior like with this cornstarch, where you have building forms like flowers, and they grow, but he can show that you always have an inner flow movement. So inside the form, the water is, or the liquid is moving, also like spiral moving and all that stuff. And it's like a static wave. You have a static form outside, but a flow inside. And it's a liquid and it's growing, and you switch off the tone and it's just disappearing again. And so this is definitely a part of research with it, which is not really used in normal science. And this is because, and this is also one part we are working on, you can't understand this in our world where we split all different ways of science, all different areas of science. You need to combine them again, and to have a broader view, to experience also, and this is also a topic I want to talk about this year, to have a fundamental look to it and to come to an understanding which is connected to projective geometry, way of geometry and doing math. And Rudolf Steiner pointed to very strongly that if you want to understand really what is working between the physical world and the etheric world, you need to understand how projective geometry is working, because there George Adams coined that term space and counter space. That's what it's about, to find the connection between these both. And projective geometry can help us to come to an understanding and to start thinking in ways how forces from the ether project into the physical world, and how these laws are connected also with the different kind of ethers, like the warmth ether, light ether, the sound ether, and the life ether. And every one has its own ways of working, and also working against each other, together with another. And these are all very fundamental topics you need to cover to come to an understanding of how creation is working.
You set off so many questions in my head. So we can't go there now because this is just a brief introduction. But yeah, hopefully we can do this. This has just been wonderful talking to you and hearing about the really exciting research you're doing. Yeah, so different ethers and how they actually live through the beings in life. Wow, that's certainly a fascinating topic for a conference presentation. So yeah, I thank you very much for telling us a little bit about what you're going to be talking about, and look forward to following up on what actually gets said. Sounds really, really interesting.
Ignis, thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.